Okay, now Andy Nixon is Andy Nixon
Yes,
here?
I think
Oh,
he's
Andy, you're
just walking.
I heard at one point that you might not be. Okay. So we are honored today to have a speech, project number 3. Is that correct? Project number 3 by Andy Nixon. So let's give Andy a hand. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, today I'm doing my 3rd speech. The title of my speech is Angels Are Everywhere. I want to share a personal story with everyone and really kind of define what that phrase means to me and give you a little bit of insight into how someone had changed my life in 2007. So, between the years of 2004 and 2008, were probably some of the worst years of my life. I made a lot of bad decisions. My mother was diagnosed with cancer at the time. And along the way came this person that I refer to as an angel. An angel in the truest sense is really someone that does a good deed or helps folks out. This person did that with me on Christmas Eve in 2007. His name was Pastor Scott. I was at a church service with my mother. And this gentleman normally gave sermons in the sense, especially during Christmas Eve, where he would dress up as someone and try to reach the crowd in a little bit different way because you get more church attendance. He decided to make it very personal on Christmas Eve in 2007. He started by saying angels are everywhere, and he wanted to prove it to us. So, in terms of what he meant by angels are everywhere, can give you some background of what he was going through at the time. He said there were 3 angels in his life that year. The first one was his sister, which was the inspiration for his Christmas sermon, actually. She was going through cancer at the time and had been having cancer treatments, and when he got the Christmas card from her that year, her face was a little bit disfigured and her pigmentation was gone because she was going through chemotherapy. He said, I looked right at her and thought, boy, there's an inspiration for me. There's somebody I can look to. She's got 5 kids and she's still kicking after going through chemotherapy. The second person he said was an angel was in fact my mother. She was going through cancer at the time and having a really, really difficult time of things, and he talked to her an awful lot during that time period, and we all tried to lift each other up. The third person he was talking about was me. In 2006 I got married, and by the time 2007 rolled around I was going through a divorce. It didn't last for anything longer than 15 or 16 months, and I was going through a really tough time in my personal life. And he said that the strength of character that I showed going through that divorce and helping to prop my mom up and talking to him about cancer and just generally trying to help people, he basically said we were angels to him. Angels are everywhere. I tell you that sermon story to segue into a different story. When 2008 rolled around, after I'd heard that speech in 2007, kind of got me thinking in a positive way, and 2008 rolled around. I had another personal experience with the phrase angels are everywhere, and I can tell you why I think that by sharing this story with you. When I got married in 2006, I had bought a dogwood tree, which is a flowering tree, and we thought that we would plant that somewhere and basically go to it and have a picnic on our anniversary. It would be flowering in the springtime, and we thought it would be something really nice to do. That tree actually sat in a planter on my porch for 4 or 5 months. So by the summer of 2006, it was all dried out, and I decided that I had to go plant it or it was going to die. So that's what I did. I went and planted it in the yard, planted it over by the pool. 2007 rolls around, I'm having problems with my wife. I pretty much know I'm going down the path of divorce, and one day I was out mowing the grass. A lot of guys do that. When things are in the way when you mow grass, it isn't a very happy time for a guy. So I nearly ran over the dogwood tree in the summer of 2007. I decided to move it. So I uprooted the entire plant, planted it over by the curb in my yard, and basically let it sat there. I sounded like Yosemite Sam while I was doing it. Fracking, just flipping out over this tree. It was really upsetting to me at that point, just because of the things I was going through in my personal life. Spring of 2008 rolled around. After I had heard that sermon on 2007, I saw some flowers on that tree. This tree that I had completely neglected, didn't care whether it was going to live or die, started budding. And by that time, I had already been thinking positively, and I thought to myself, wow, angels are everywhere. Somebody out there is looking out for me and looking out for this little wee tiny tree. And I remember going home and talking to my mom, and I said, Mom, angels are everywhere. Somebody's looking out for me. She said, yeah. We had some conversation about it, and I thought, wow, I'm going to get some pictures of this tree. So there I was, standing in the middle of the street, taking pictures of this little tree, and a tiny old lady that lived next door to me came out of her house and said, my young man, you have a really nice tree there. I said, yeah, it's fantastic. This thing, it's blooming, and I didn't even care whether it lived or died. She told me what happened. She watched me move the tree in 2007 when I was throwing a fit because I was having a tough personal time. And every day I went to work that summer, she would come water it, or her daughter would come water that tree. And I can't say anything other than I completely broke down in tears and thanked her 100 times over. And I had 3 angels with me that time. Pastor Scott, who inspired me, my mother, and this poor lady that lived across the street that I really didn't even know was there. And I guess my message to everyone is that if you believe that good is happening, you'll find that angels are everywhere.